W
T L.
It's time! W
T L.
I think we got a show. Oh yeah, we got a show.
W
T L.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, A&D Class, joined by
Jabron.
the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
You know what was wrong? I hate to be nitpicky, and we'll get into it, and hits and misses later on. You didn't have enough legs in last week's parlay.
No, yeah.
That
just
was the
trying
problem.
to do two, and it didn't work out.
You need to add on to that.
Yep.
That was the issue there. Exciting UFC 301, no doubt about it. And you're right there on those picks. For the most part, you got your picks right. Just parlays with the unpredictable UFC.
No doubt.
That's where it's at. But to start this week's episode up, we got to get into the NBA playoffs because things are getting interesting in the NBA playoffs. So you are in total homer mode right now. For those watching on YouTube, wearing your Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, you got a jersey, you got a nice looking hat.
Yes, sir.
Where'd that hat? Did you get that at the stadium?
No,
at the
I've
arena?
had this a while. I got a retro Kevin Garnett jersey probably about 4 or 5 years back, and I had to get this hat to go with it.
You got it when that was cool, the first time around when it was cool.
No doubt.
Before it was retro. Doubt. All right. Very good. Very good. The big unit, impossible is nothing.
The big ticket.
The big ticket, all those things. All those things. Well, he actually had a championship with the Boston Celtics.
Yes.
I think that's where we need to start.
I do too, Andy.
Thursday night, ESPN, 6 o'clock tip-off. They are taking on the Cavaliers. Once again, they are heavy favorites, and they lead the series 1-0.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start with this thing? I'm looking at a point spread of, it's climbed all the way up to 13.5 in the favor of Boston.
The crazy thing is, Andy, that Boston didn't even play very well in game one, Andy.
Yeah.
Kristaps Porzingis was out. The unicorn was out. Jason Tatum did not play very well. We didn't have a lot of points for Boston.
Yeah.
They were led by Jaylen Brown with 32 points. Boston made light work of this Cleveland, team and really just beat them up on the boards. A reason for that is the absence of Jarrett Allen really limited what the Cavs were able to do on the back end, being physically outmatched time and time again. But if he can't go, Andy, I really don't see much of a chance for Cleveland to win this series. I won't say right away that they're not going to be able to cover this spread because this is the NBA playoffs. It should be a lot tighter than that.
Yep.
But the way that the Boston Celtics beat them up on the boards, it's really tough for me to swing anything with Cleveland here.
Yeah, and Jarrett Allen, their post player, the leading rebounder on the season, averaging 11 boards per game. He is listed on, I just pulled it up here, the injury report. He's a game time decision that usually doesn't bode well. I mean, even if he is good to go, you can't believe he's going to be 100%.
Yep.
And you got to think Boston, they'll just bang the boards once again.
Exactly.
They'll do what they do. And we have seen, especially in these playoffs, it's been a game of runs, the NBA has.
Yeah.
I mean, teams are going on a 20-point run, followed up by the other team going on a 17 run.
Exactly.
It's from quarter to quarter within a game. It is just crazy. So,
no lead safe ever. It's crazy.
So, I mean, Boston could be heading into that fourth quarter leading by 20, and I don't feel good about the point spread, about them covering.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what this is kind of boiling down to for me.
For sure, Andy. And as scary as that opening game was for Cleveland fans, I'm kind of switching my tune here. The Cavs are no strangers having bounced back and embarrassing losses. Over a 2-game span during the opening round versus the Magic outscored them 233 to 162, Andy, in that 2-game span, and they won the series. So it was the Cavs who went on to win the series, like I said, and they know how to play from behind, and they know how to forget real quick about large point deficits. So
they don't care.
I think this spread is too large. The Cavs had one glaring weakness, like I said, the defensive end, defensive rebounding. Their offense was actually pretty solid. They moved the ball nicely, and Donovan Mitchell is headlining the show, obviously.
Sure, of course.
And that kind of plays into my player prop I want to talk about for this game.
Let's go.
Is Donovan Mitchell over 29.5 points. He needs to hit this, Andy.
Yep, he does.
He needs to hit it if they want a chance at winning this game. So I believe 30 points is a given for Donovan Mitchell during this season. It is on the road, Andy, but if they want to be in this game, Donovan Mitchell has to have 30 points plus. He'll probably have closer to 40.
We have seen a lot of defense across the board in these NBA playoffs so far. We've been leaning towards some overs, and we got burned by a few of these overs. I'm looking at 11.5. If you're thinking Spider is gonna have a big game, are you feeling the over?
I think I do feel the over, Andy, just because I think Boston's gonna come in here feeling a little loose, feeling a little, these guys.
We can outscore them.
Exactly, we can outscore them. We don't really need to have our foot on the gas. A couple of our guys are trying to get healthy right now. Jason Tatum, he doesn't really need to score a lot of points in this series. I feel like the Boston Celtics are feeling like that right now, and I feel like this is a great chance for Cleveland to kind of smack them in the mouth and say, hey, we're still a playoff team.
Boston has been your odds-on favorite for the title for a very long time, and that gap is continuing to widen as far as overall favorites. And you mentioned Tatum, and he didn't play his best game, but he still put in over 20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible how lethal he is when he can have an off night and still get into double figures as easy as that. Kristaps, he's not scheduled to come back till May 19th at the earliest.
Exactly.
So
they're trying to fly without him for this series for sure, and then try to get him back in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, Andy, one thing that I did want to mention on this, the books have the Celtics for a 4-0 sweep at plus 115 right now, Andy. That is crazy. That shows you how much everybody thinks this is going to be a sweep.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy to me that if the Cavs can't win one, man, I think it's a good bet that any other result is minus 140. That means if the Cavs win one game, they can.
I like that much better. I mean, Miami they won by 10 points.
Yeah.
They beat the Celtics by 10 points.
Exactly, in one game.
In one game. Okay, so that tells you what the NBA can fluctuate and how it can be. So I'm not feeling the sweep, even though I really like Boston.
Exactly. So if you go Celtics to win 4-1, it's at a plus 145. I feel a lot better at that bet. Yeah. But just for this Thursday game, Andy, I like Cleveland plus 13.5. Yeah. Give me those over on Donovan Mitchell points, 29.5. And I'm leaning over on the score as well, but I'll probably sidestep that.
I can get on board with that because, we've been burned on a couple totals here in the NBA playoffs, but I like Cleveland to cover, but I want Boston. I believe Boston is going to get that victory.
No doubt.
They're going to defend home court.
They're going to defend
Get out of here.
They're going to win.
If Cleveland, if you're going to steal one, it's going to be at home.
No doubt.
But
I think they can stay close. And Donovan Mitchell going to get those points.
I really think the game's going to be wrapped up midway through the fourth quarter, and the Boston Celtics, like they've done all season long, they can take their foot off the gas, and just win by 10. They'll be fine.
Either way, I get there. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, backdoor. Well, we get there. All right, let's move on to the nightcap on ESPN. That's an 8:30 tip-off. The Dallas Mavericks are taking on the home favorites once again, the Oklahoma City Thunder, making some noise down there in Oklahoma City. Looks like they are a 5.5-point favorite right now. They also lead the series 1-0.
Yeah, Andy, and the biggest storyline out of this is Luka Doncic was clearly laboring in game one,
hurt, right?
which isn't ideal for Dallas, obviously. He said ahead of the series that he sprained his knee and suffered in the first round series, and it's still bothering him. And given his shooting, awful 22.7% from long range, it's obvious he's getting no lift in his jumpers. While that is a warning sign for Dallas in this series, that doesn't mean they aren't, they can't make adjustments. But Doncic is the motive. He is the motor for this team.
Let me break it down real simple. He leads the team in rebounds, assists, and scoring.
Yeah.
He leads the team in all three categories, the most important categories, and he's putting in, 34, 35 points per game. Yeah. And he can't do that with this knee injury right now.
Right.
I mean, people like to talk about how he could be a defensive liability. I don't want to hear any of that, what he does, what he brings to the table on the other side of the court.
Exactly.
And if that's not clicking on all cylinders, I don't think Dallas is that tough of a matchup.
No.
I think they really fall off bad.
They really do, Andy. And that really bodes well for Thunder because they are such a deep team.
Mm-hmm.
They're just young
They're
players.
the opposite side of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, the one thing for the Mavs, they have to make some adjustments. I think Doncic is, the skilled post player, and his mid-range jumpers are practically automatic. They need to put him in situations where he doesn't have to exert as much energy on the offense, but can still be effective. The other thing, Andy, they need Kyrie to get going early and not just start cooking in the second half like he's been doing all playoffs. They need him to come out firing, and that's why I like my other player prop for this game, Kyrie Irving over 23.5 points. He's going to get going early, and he's going to get at least 30 points. I love this bet. This is probably my best bet of the NBA Thursday, Friday.
You know, we've seen this from Kyrie throughout his career. There's been times, you know, you're a LeBron fan, where he was hurt with the Cavaliers. He would step up and have a big offensive night.
No doubt.
We also saw it in Boston, not as much as Boston fans would have liked, but there were times where they were shorthanded and Kyrie would come up and pour in 45 points.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's really, his back's up against the wall here. His team is.
They need him.
Yeah, he has to deliver. And you're telling me he can't get 23?
Yeah.
He can get that in a quarter.
He's
done that in a quarter.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get those points. But I think it's literally shining a spotlight on Jason Kidd. Can he make adjustments to make this team run like he needs to? There is a path for victory here, Andy, for the Mavericks. I just don't know if it's going to happen to the Thunder's top-tier defense. I think I'm going with that Thunder minus 5.5 points.
You know, and it's moving up. It opened up at 4.5. It's up to 5.5. You better watch that tip-off. I wouldn't be surprised if it was at 6.5.
Exactly.
People love the home teams in these playoffs, and you got Dallas Mavericks that are so shorthanded. Well, I mean, one big injury. And I don't like it whatsoever. Give me the Thunder with the 5.5 as well at home.
No doubt, Andy. I like I said, I really like Kyrie to get those points, but I think the Luka thing looks like a shell of himself at this point. And that Thunder's top-tier defense, Andy. I love the Thunder. Give me minus 5.5.
How about that total real quick at 218.5? I mean, when you're losing the game's arguably most elite score in the league. Yeah. If he's hampered, if he's out, do we really think they can put in 218.5 points?
Yeah, I would be very, very skeptical doing either one of these, Andy, because the one thing, if you bet the over, it could become a blowout and both teams just stop scoring. Yeah. The other thing is you go under SGA, Kyrie Irving get hot, which they both can, and the over just kills it. So I am going to sidestep this, Andy. If I had to put money on it, I would pick on the under just because I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to pull away a little bit, and neither team's going to be able to reach that.
I really don't want to overthink it. We're up against it here, but I like the under because Oklahoma City has a great defense, and you're also losing the game's best scorer, most elite scorer. Don't overthink. Got
all
a great
things leading to that.
To the under here.
Yep.
All right, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Stock and Rod Company, an outdoor lifestyle brand for those seeking adventure. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, they got you covered. Visit stockandrod.com to get your wild game on. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. You know what that stands for. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Class, and joined by
Jabron.
Oh, the parlay pounder.
You got it.
All right, we talked a little NBA playoff basketball. Let's change gears here. Let's talk some golf.
Let's do it.
Get out the old sticks here.
Yes, sir.
We got the Wells Fargo Championship. This is a 7,558-yard par 71 Quail Hollow Club. You know, one of those places. Long. It's good to have a driver in your bag here. And this is a pared down group. Only 69 players are going to take the course here. And there's a big scratch from the lineup here that a lot of folks will have to notice, and that's the number one ranked golfer in the world who's absolutely on fire, Scottie Scheffler.
Oh, that loser.
That loser.
He's out.
He is out because his wife is expecting the birth of the first. You know, didn't we just have this with Rudy Gobert?
Yep.
And
we did.
I think Gilbert Arenas, he has a podcast, believe it or not.
Yes, he does.
Just went scorched
Agent Zero.
Just went scorched earth on old Rudy Gobert. How dare you? I think his quote was something to the effect of, you know, the kid will be there after he's born.
Oh, my God. And that's why Gilbert is loved by so many people.
Anyway, Scotty, I hope Gilbert Arenas doesn't catch word that you're sitting out.
Yeah, like he's not a golf fan, probably.
But, okay, so the number one golfer is out. So wouldn't you know it, the number two ranked golfer in the world is now your favorite, and that is Rory. I was just looking at it. What is he sitting at?
Plus 700
plus
right
700.
now. Xander Schauffele's right behind him at plus 1,000. 1,000. Wyndham Clark, plus 1,400. 1,400, Patrick Cantley plus 1,800, and then you start getting into the 2,000 with Max Homa and Tommy Fleetwood. So, that is the biggest line there, Andy, is that Scotty's out. He's been on fire, and now maybe it's time for a Rory tournament.
Sure. We've been saying that a lot lately.
Exactly. And essentially what we're looking for golfers to bet this week, Andy, is golfers that don't have major weaknesses and that are long off the tee. And that proves very well for Rory. It doesn't hurt to have a good course history here, Andy, as this is one of the most predictive events of the PGA Tour. In other words, golfers who have played well at Quail Hollow tend to continue to play well there. So
that's Rory too. He won this thing 3 years ago, back in 2021.
Exactly. He has a pair of wins, I believe, a couple second place finishes, and an 8th place finish very recently as well. But I'm looking at, Andy, that plus 1,400 for Wyndham Clark as one of my best bets to win this whole thing. We don't see a golfer win the same PGA Tour event back-to-back years very often, but it's certainly not it can definitely happen.
It happens.
Clark won at Quail Hollow 2023 as a massive underdog, has been dominant in signature events this season. He won Pebble Beach Pro-Am, was runner-up at Arnold Palmer Invitational in the Players' Championship, and finished 3rd at RBC Heritage. He's one of the toughest hitters in the field, doesn't have a weakness in his game. He has as much to win in equity as Rory or Xander Schauffele.
He's on the leaderboard, too, as odds winner.
Exactly, and you're getting much better odds on Wyndham Clark. That's the reason that I'm going with him over Rory and Xander. You're getting that much more bang for your buck with him.
Almost double, plus 1,600. I just opened up the Warhorse Bet Builder sports app. Since the Wells Fargo isn't played at home in Nebraska, you can bet this.
Yes, it can.
Unlike a Husker home game. Yep. So I can just go ahead and make my bet here.
You can.
A guy you've been big on lately, Max Homa, is at that plus 2,200 I'm seeing. What do you think of old Maxie? He swings a big driver.
He does, Andy. I'm going to probably fit him into my parlay later, but I don't believe that I'm going to bet on him to win this tournament. I just like him as a top 5, top 10 because you get really good odds out of him there, plus 400 at top 5, top 10 at plus 200. So I really like those odds much more than him to take down this whole tournament.
Jordan Spieth plus 4,000. There's just until he does it again, I can't get on old Jordan Spieth.
Nope.
I mean, he's had it. He's been so close, so close. He's reminding me of like a Greg Norman rerun. Oh yeah, you're so close. You're so close.
For sure, Andy. My kind of dark horse that I'm looking at, Andy, is he's all the way down at plus 2,800. Cameron Young. That is my kind of dark horse for this. Young is going to pick up his first win on the PGA Tour sooner rather than later, and I've maintained it will come at a championship level golf course, which is this one. So I think he's contended in several majors in his career and now has a total of 7 runner-up finishes. It's not like he doesn't know how to win, as he has 2 victories on the Korn Ferry Tour before earning his PGA Tour card. He's one of the best drivers in the world and is elite with his mid and long iron. So if he can have a decent week with his putter, I like his chances to contend here at plus 2,800. Just sprinkle a little bit.
Yeah. You're talking about past winners. We can't talk golf without talking about my boy Ricky Fowler.
Yeah.
He won this, but it was clear back in 2012.
Long time.
It was a while ago.
Back when Ricky took us by storm.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun back then. But he's resurfaced, and he's put together a couple really nice tournaments.
No doubt.
Maybe not the last couple here, but he's been in the mix overall over the last year in some big places, and he's one of those guys, he can pull out the driver.
Yeah, he really can, Andy. So I definitely like anybody that's looking at Ricky. He's kind of flying under the radar here a little bit.
He is.
He has had some good tournaments this year, so I don't mind that pick at all.
All right. Well, that's more of a long shot for me.
Anyway. For sure. My best bet, Andy. Best bet. This is the safest bet of the week with positive odds at a plus 115 is Xander Schauffele to finish top 10. He has finished top 10 in 6 of his last 9 starts, Andy.
Okay.
He has finished tied for 2nd, tied for 14th in his last 2 stroke plays at Quail Hollow, a course where he has been dominant in the President's Cup in 2022.
Okay.
He's one of the few golfers on tour that is elite in all aspects of the game. He's an excellent driver.
Well-rounded.
He's elite on approach, and he's terrific on the green, Andy.
Yeah.
He's a very good putter. So I see no reason why he can't post another top 10 finish this week at plus 115. I think it's the best bet of the weekend in golf.
It also works for him that it's not a real deep roster or lineup, if you want to say. Only 69 golfers are taking the tee off box, so that even helps his odds out to finish within that top 10.
Yes, sir. So that is my best bet of the weekend in golf.
All right. Do you got any long shots? I already threw Ricky at you.
Yeah, I mean, Cameron Young was my long shot.
Okay.
If even moving down a little bit, if you're going to take a shot on somebody, even worse or worse odds, better odds, I guess. Plus 3,500 for Will Zalatoris, I think, is something that I kind of raised my eyebrow at. He plays really well here. Plus 3,500, just put a couple bucks on it. Yeah. I think he has a chance to win for sure.
Okay, all right. I kind of like your favorite there with Clark, and I know it would be back-to-back wins.
Yep.
But man, just scorched the course last year. I think he finished minus 19 overall. Yeah. Pretty nice.
Plays well here.
A couple of pretty nice rounds of golf there.
Yeah.
All right, you are the parlay pounder.
Yes, I am.
You want to give us a parlay?
Yes, I got right now on DraftKings, they got a top 20 finish parlay, Andy. All these three guys, all I got to do is finish top 20, Andy.
That's it. They just got to finish
top 20. And I think all three of these guys will definitely do it. Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark, and Max Homa. Plus 350, Andy. So all I got to do is put $25 on this to win 112. I think it's a very good bet. Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark, and Max Homa, plus 350. Do it.
I mean, we're talking about all three of those guys actually taking this tournament down.
Exactly.
And we're just looking for a top 20 finish here.
Yeah.
3-leg parlay. See, that's what I was getting at earlier. You got
to get a couple more on
at least get that 3-legger in there.
No
get
doubt,
those odds
Andy.
up there. Plus 350, you say?
Yeah, plus 350. So yeah, just putting $25 on this, win 112, Andy. And I'm not gonna turn my nose up on anybody that's trying to say that Rory's going to win this tournament, because he definitely can.
Sure.
He's got that taste in his mouth that he needs to win a tournament. Plus 700, probably not the best odds that you're ever going to see in a golf outing.
He's the
but
favorite.
with Scotty gone, I think he has definitely a very good chance of winning as well. So gotta give Rory some flowers as well, because a lot of people are on him this week.
It's definitely worth a look.
Yes.
And things set up for him very well. He's won here before, as we mentioned. He's long out of the box.
Yeah.
All these things. And his number one, competitor
is gone.
Is out.
Yeah. And
just don't tell Gilbert Arenas.
If you see a book putting out odds at minus money, he's at minus 125 to finish top 10. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
They know that he's going to be around. They know he's going to be there. They wouldn't be putting that out if they didn't know he's going to be there. So Rory is definitely a good bet as well. If you want to move down the line and get some better odds, obviously do that, but Rory will probably be there at the end.
And he's a mature guy, a mature golfer in his career right now, and he understands that, hey, there is an opportunity right now with the hottest guy on tour out in a place where I can excel, and I have excelled.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be so locked in over the weekend. It's going to be fun to watch.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, getting Scotty out of there raises everybody's expectations, because he's probably just going to win if he's there. So, no, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really like the parlay. I like Rory. And, Xander and Wyndham are going to have a good week, too.
Well, let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. We've been enjoying the EOS Hefeweizen, one of their core series brews, described as a Bavarian wheat beer. This unfiltered beer may be a little sweeter than your traditional German Hefeweizen, highlighted with notes of vanilla and nutmeg. That's what, just got to change it up a little bit.
That's the best.
That's what these guys do.
That's what they do.
Nebraska Brewing Company, world class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Klassen, joined by
Jabron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it.
Yes, sir. And we're going to get right back into the NBA playoffs. And we're talking, what is this, Friday night. We just watched Wednesday evening. New York Knicks came back.
Yeah.
Man, that was a game. Came back, knocked off the Pacers. They are up They lead the series now, and it's going to go back to Indiana. And I think we're looking at an early look-ahead line where the Pacers are a 5-point favorite.
Yep.
After we've seen some stellar play from the Knicks defending home court. I get it.
Yeah.
But right now, it's odd to me a team that wins 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Is now an underdog.
By 5 points.
By 5 points. And I get it, you're going back home, but the talk of the town is how the Knicks are back.
Yeah.
And Brunson is on another level. What was that stat you just told me about him?
Well, I think he was the first player since Jordan to go 4 games in a row in the playoffs with at least 40 points.
Wow.
So that's pretty wild. He had 29 points on Wednesday, so a little bit of a letdown there. But no, he's on a different level. The Villanova Wildcat tripod there. They got Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, and Jalen Brunson all going at it right now. So it's a lot of fun to watch. But Andy, the reason for that, I believe the line opening up at 5, getting up to 5.5.
Yeah.
The Pacers have a really, really good home crowd. They get really up for these games. And they've been up in both games. They were going into halftime, Andy, up 10 points tonight. They got outscored in the third quarter, though, 36-18, Andy.
Yikes.
That is something that they are going to have to figure out.
Yeah.
Their big guy, Tyrese Halliburton, had 34 points tonight, which is a very good point total for him, obviously.
Yeah.
But, they just got to be able to come out the second half with the same energy that they have in the first, and everybody knows who the closer is. In New York, it's Jalen Brunson.
Double team him.
Yeah, exactly.
Double team him.
No, but we saw it in the last series, and we're seeing it now. Yeah. If he needs to flip the switch, he's going to do that. So, if you're giving me plus 5.5 points for New York, who's up 2-0, I believe I have to go with the New York Knicks here to cover the spread. Maybe even sprinkle a little bit on the money line at plus 180 right now. Maybe throw that in a parlay later on Friday.
You know, these lines are kind of sharpened up as well. That game one, I believe the Knicks were 4.5 it closed at, and they didn't quite get there. They won the game, 121-17, but they get that hook.
Yeah.
The hook got you. Once again, they did cover game 2, winning that one by 9. What were they, 5-point favorites there?
5 points favorites.
5-point favorite there. So, I mean, easy cover there. Got that by 4. And it didn't look good. It didn't look good at half for the Knicks.
No,
so
it did not.
The game that I felt the kind of shaky on is the one they actually covered in game 2. Now going back to Indiana, I'm even a little bit more a little nervous about that 5-point spread.
Exactly, Andy. And that's the reason that you have to look at the money line for the Knicks. But like you said, the Pacers up in every game. And the home crowd really pushes them. Andy, a really crazy line to me that it looks, it's the highest total that we have between these 4 games that we're talking about is over-under 225.5.
Over 225?
Over 225.5, Andy. And the reason for that is, Andy, that it has skyrocketed over both games, going 238 in the first game and 251 in game 2. So you got to be thinking the over here, Andy.
Probably going to go over.
It went over by 25 points in game 2 and by 13 points in game 1. So I don't know if they're really hooking on a Pacers defensive adjustment here, but I would have to lean on that over, especially if you can get it all the way down to 225.
And that's really something, because we've seen so many dominant defensive performances across the NBA playoffs. I mean, some teams are only scoring 78 points and crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, the next game that we're talking about, Nuggets versus Timberwolves, that is all the way down to 204.5. But we're talking about 2 different teams there.
Yeah, we really are 2 different defenses. And I feel like at this point in the season, second round, all these things, if you're the Pacers, this is your style of ball, right? Halliburton is going to have to fill it up. He's going to have to distribute. He averages over 10 assists a game.
Yep.
He's going to have to get, probably closer to 12, 13 assists.
But the thing with the Pacers, they do have 2 really good point guards in T.J. McConnell and Tyrese Halliburton. McConnell did have 12 assists in game 2. So, like you said, fast pace, getting that ball out and all that kind of stuff. But the Knicks have what it takes to combat that style of play with those guards from Villanova, like we just talked about. So, no, I like the Knicks in Game 3, and I really like that over as well.
I do like that over. It's sticker shock when you see how high it is, but then you look at how these 2 teams are piling in the points. I like that over bet as well. And I think I saw it on a T-shirt somewhere. Life's too short to bet the under, right?
I've lived my life by that.
Live my life by that T-shirt, bro. All right, that's a 6 o'clock tip-off on ESPN. Let's move on over to the nightcap.
Let's do it.
8:30 tip-off. This has been a surprise of all surprises as far as series have gone thus far. The Minnesota Timberwolves have taken 2 from the favorites in the Denver Nuggets, getting 2 victories. They lead the series 2-0. On the road. Going back to Minneapolis. And this line opened up with the Timberwolves being a 3.5-point favorite. I'm seeing it at 5 on some books. 5-point favorite now are the Timberwolves.
Yeah, 4.5 to 5.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy, Andy. Like you said, that over/under at 204.5. Yeah, this is just kind of an anomaly, Andy. Anthony Edwards exploded for 43 in Game 1. And
he looked good against Phoenix?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he looks even better in this series. So the really big thing, I believe, for the Timberwolves, Andy, is Karl Anthony Towns really stepping up and helping with that scoring load, 23.5 points. The crazy thing about Game 2, Andy, no Rudy Gobert, big guy in the middle, defensive player of the year, hopeful, and against Nikola Jokic, they need somebody like that. So it's crazy, and they're getting him back for Game 3, obviously. So this could be troublesome for the Denver Nuggets.
I haven't heard a good argument. Everyone's talking and flapping, right? But the Nuggets only scored 80 points in Game 2. What happened?
Absolutely.
What is going on?
Absolutely terrible shooting by their 2 big guys.
Jeez.
Jamal Murray needs to shoot a lot better if they want to be in this. Just put up 8 points, 3 of 18 shooting in Game 2, Andy.
And we just saw him flexing, in the first series, big ball.
Put in 2 game winners against the Lakers. Seems like Ant-Man and Karl Anthony Towns are kind of avenging my LeBron loss, so I appreciate that. But, Joker just went 5 of 10 in
that's not enough volume.
In the second half.
Okay, there we go.
In the second half, Andy. So I just don't like that from the Joker, Andy. He needs to be more aggressive, trying back to bully his way in the paint. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit harder with Gobert coming back for Game 3. But, they need their top 3 to play a lot better. Yeah. Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., all 3 of them need to create more offense. You're not going to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves with that top-tier defense with only 80 points.
Yeah, I was watching some game film, some replay there, and Jokic had some opportunities in the paint, and he kind of shaded it. He either kicked it out or he made it a more difficult shot, a fadeaway or whatever, rather than attacking the rim. Dude, you're 7 foot. Yeah. And I have no business telling Jokic what to do, right?
He just won a third MVP just today, so that's very nice.
Probably should have been 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Probably should have been 4 in a row. Okay, we'll give him that. But point being is, the Nuggets, it's almost fool's gold with a 7-footer down there where you collapse your defense. I think Minnesota's found something here where it's like, okay, we can leave him one-on-one. Yeah. He's going to get his. Okay, he's going to get his. But we don't need to.
But I don't think he does that. He doesn't push the envelope for scoring if he doesn't need to, Andy. Yeah. So, being down 2-0 in a series probably will make him do that. But it's the glaring lack of depth on Denver's team that has been really foreshowing here with Murray and MPJ not playing well off of Joker. It seems like they're dead in the water.
Yeah, and I did see a nice interview with Michael Conley Jr., and he was talking about how they amped up their defense and good results have followed, and how he's kind of like surprised by that. I'm like, wow.
That's basketball 101,
You
Andy.
play defense and you win more games? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And if there is an offense that you need to play good defense, and they are playing good defense.
Best defense in the league right now, Andy.
They're playing it against Denver, and it's working.
And it's awesome. So 2 player props I want to get in before we sign off for this one. Jamal Murray, I believe he's going to have a little bit of a bounce-back game. Okay. They have his point total all the way down to 20.5. Wow. I believe he's going to get 20 points for sure and eclipse that. I think he's going to have a little bit of a bounce-back game, probably 25 to 30 points.
Okay.
So I believe that is money in the bank right there. And then Rudy Gobert did not play in Game 2. I believe he's going to be amped up. Over 12.5 rebounds, I believe, is a lock for this game. Rudy Gobert over 12.5 rebounds. I believe it's a very good play.
I do like that because he is going to be fired up. He's heard all the chatter. We talked about Gilbert Arenas giving him a bad time and all those things, skipping a game for the birth of his son.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Another good line that you can look at for Rudy. I don't know if you want to parlay them together or anything like that, but blocks over 1.5 as well.
Okay.
I like that one as well.
Yeah.
He is going to be roaming the paint, looking for everything that he can in Game 3. So give me Rudy over on rebounds, over on blocks, and Jamal Murray over on points.
And right now, according to ESPN Analytics, they are only giving the Nuggets a 34% chance to win this game.
Yeah.
And that's what bettors are thinking. The public money's on board with that. As we mentioned, it opened at 3.5. We're seeing a lot of consensus 4.5 or even 5.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I like the Wolves that much, but it's hard to make an argument to bet against the Wolves at home right here.
For sure, Andy. And I know that we have a lot of Denver Nuggets, faithful around here and listening to it. And
I like the Nuggets.
Yeah, me too. And we've been talking about them all year. If you're still on them, if you still think they have a shot at winning this series, they're at a plus 400 to win the series right now. Long odds, but it could pay off for you. They do got the MVP. So if you're still in the Nuggets, it's now or never for that type of payout.
You heard the horn, so we're up against it. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. It feels like a must-win scenario, doesn't it? You're down 2. You got to get one. You got to get it. You got to get it back to Denver, and you got to go home with a win in your back pocket.
No doubt about it.
All righty, well, that was the horn. So let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. World class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Klassen, and I'm joined by
Jabron.
The Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
Now, we got another UFC fight night coming our way. But before we look ahead, let's take a look back at some of our hits and misses. And we were kind of all over the board for UFC 301. How much fun was that?
It was so awesome,
Brazil
Andy.
delivered. And our boy, Anthony Smith, Lionheart, with the first round submission over
Absolutely
Victor
wild.
Petrino. Beat the hometown favorite, the young buck, the up-and-comer.
Light heavyweight. Absolutely wild. Yeah, Anthony Smith at plus 425 odds, Andy.
Wow.
You just don't see a lot of people win with that big of odds. Victor Petrino coming into this 15th in light heavyweight, trying to get past Anthony Smith, ranked at 10, minus 575 to win this fight, Andy. Absolutely nuts. Obviously, Victor threw a wrench in my parlay pick, but I was so happy to pay that. Go Anthony Smith, fighter out of Omaha. Couldn't have been happier. I was jumping all over the place. It was so much fun, especially when it's a first-round submission like that.
And I saw a late interview of Anthony Smith. He goes, if he's going to be running his mouth like that, bleep, 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 bleep. And I'm like, oh, boy, it sounds like he actually means it. He's not just cussing to cuss or whatever.
No, he gets amped up for the fights, and if you give him an in, he's going to do it to you. He's the more experienced fighter, like we talked about, and it showed.
And then another one I think I was off base on, Jose Aldo, the old timer, the old boy.
We both were.
Stepped up and delivered against the young buck Martinez. I was high on the young man out of the United States. Just couldn't get it done. Lost in a unanimous decision.
Well, you just never know when these guys that have retired and go do a couple boxing matches and then come back.
Do that stuff.
You never know how he's going to return, but he was jacked. He was quicker than this kid. They might give him the next shot at bantamweight for the championship. They might have him fight Sugar Sean.
They might have
him fight Sugar Sean O'Malley, which I believe would be a very bad decision by Jose Aldo. But he looked very good. He did become the favorite on Saturday to win this fight, so he did deserve it. And great job for Jose.
All right, but you did peg the big one. Pantoja.
Alexander Pantoja.
Won a unanimous decision. Just took care of business, kind of like what he does. workmanlike style performance, and you were able to get that cash.
Yeah, for sure, Andy. And we told you on the podcast last week that this was going to go all 5 rounds.
Yep,
neither one of them. Neither one of them really had that knockout power. Yeah. And Pantoja just kept taking him down. Had 9 takedowns against him. Andy just kind of kept pushing at him. So no, it was a very good one. Very good title defense for Alexander Pantoja. And it was a fun card. I can't wait for June, Andy. I cannot wait for June. We got at the end of June, we got McGregor and Michael Chandler. But right at the start of it, we got Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. Yep. We got Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. Wow. It's just going to be probably one of the best months for UFC history. It's going to be awesome.
Last June lined up that way as well. Doubt. Man.
Yeah, he knows how to do it.
Yeah, we're coming off of 300. 299 was a banger. Wow. All right, well, let's head on to a fight night. And this is going to be a very entertaining fight night because we are back at Mound City, the gateway to the West, St. Louis, Missouri, at the Enterprise Center there. And Derek Lewis, St. Louis, I like that cemetery there. He's going to be your headliner. But before we get to him, let's talk about Joaquin Buckley, your number 11 contender in the welterweight, taking him on Ruzabor, contender who's a plus 124 underdog here. And where's he out of? Uzbekistan.
The what I have to say about this fight is I'm not going to fade Buckley anytime soon. His move to welterweight has been fantastic for him. He's 3-0 since he's done that, coming off a very impressive win his last time out. He'll be a bit smaller than Ruzabov, but his athleticism and pressure will make up for more of that, I believe.
Yeah, he's yoked. I mean, he's jacked.
He's yoked, and they put him on this card for a reason. He is from St. Louis, Missouri. Buckley is on a tear right now, and I think his power will be too much for him to handle. So it's a massive step up in competition for Ruzabov as well, and I think the minus 155, minus 150, like you were talking about, price is more than fair for Buckley. So I love that as well.
Yeah, minus 148 on a lot of books there. You're getting that, it's a minus money.
Shop it around.
Yeah, it's not out of line, though, at that minus 148. Is there any one thing that you really like about Buckley in his game, his striking, his defense, his grappling?
Yeah, I like his striking, Andy. I do believe he's going to knock this guy out, and that's at a plus 140 as well.
Ooh,
so I'm going to throw that into the parlay at the end of this segment for sure.
We can do that. We can do that. Any type of value looking at the contender here at that plus 124?
I can't say that I wouldn't be surprised, Andy, but like you said, Joaquin Buckley is on this card for a reason. We just saw in Brazil, they kind of teed those guys up to win these fights.
Yeah, and they did. Jose Aldo, right?
Exactly. Pantoja, all of them, except for the Anthony Smith fight. But no, they put Buckley on this because he's from St. Louis to win this fight. I do not believe it's going to get spoiled. Buckley is too good. He's too good of a stretch right now. He's going to be fired up. I believe Buckley wins this via knockout.
Well, should we move up the card to the headliner
Let's do it!
All right, this is a heavyweight bout. This is going to deliver
Beast.
The Black Beast. Derek Lewis, your number 12 contender at the heavyweight bout. He's always around there, isn't he? He's always
hovering around 10.
And the UFC didn't run out of Brazilians because we have one more here. Nascimento, your 15th ranked contender in the heavyweight. Rodrigo is your underdog at a plus 136. So similar odds to what we just talked about there. I'm looking at Derek Lewis at a minus 162. You know he's going to be bringing the pressure, and he's going to be looking to perform.
Yeah, Andy. I just believe this is kind of set this way just because the odds makers don't really know how to put Derek Lewis in a box. He's kind of an enigma. Like he will either knock you out or get knocked out. The 39-year-old is 2-4 in his last 6 fights, holds a record for most knockouts in UFC history, like you were just alluding to. But he is also susceptible to takedowns, with 12 landed against him in the last 3 fights. However, there is no denying his intimidation, like you were just talking about, in his lovable personality. One of the best guys in the UFC. Both fighters need a win to continue their rise up the UFC's heavyweight rankings. I believe the 31-year-old Nascimento has slowly grown and can separate himself from a packed heavyweight division by beating Lewis here. Styles makes fights. I believe Nascimento's style is too much for Lewis.
Yeah.
That's why I'm taking him.
Too well-rounded of a fighter, especially at the heavyweight.
Exactly.
He's also coming off a win. Lewis is coming off a loss. Nascimento is 11-1. That is his professional career record.
Yeah.
Then you look at Derek Lewis, 27-12. Man, that's a lot of bouts.
That's a lot of fighting, and that's the reason that everybody loves him. He's ready to fight, but he doesn't want it to go 3 rounds. He wants this fight to go 50 seconds at the start of it. That's why you see Derek Lewis to win by KO, TKO, or DQ all the way down at a minus 135 because they don't want to pay out for a Derek Lewis knockout because it's more than likely going to happen.
Yeah.
So
it's one or the other.
Yeah.
He's going to push the envelope.
Exactly. Yep. So a lot of people are always like, okay, yeah, but what is he by knockout? It's not much better than him just winning. So
there's no difference.
There's no difference. So no, what I'm going to go with, Andy, is I like Rodrigo Nascimento to win by KO or decision. It's at a plus. So you have 2 methods there. It's at a plus 275 right now. I think that's the best bet you can do on this UFC card. There's 2 methods of winning for him, and like I said, it's either do or die for Derek Lewis. If he doesn't catch him in the first round with a haymaker, I believe the fight's over. But
then I feel like I like that you get better odds there, and it's plus money, and there's 2 paths to victory there to cash in. But I don't think Derek Lewis will let it go 3 full rounds. If he has anything to say about it, he'll force you to knock him out.
Exactly.
He'll put his head down and come at you.
That's why I like the KO by Rodrigo as well. So, no, it is fun, Andy, that, they have Derek Lewis headlining and all that kind of stuff. I just think he's kind of worn down. I think this is going to be one of his last fights.
It's going to be fun.
Maybe they give him another older guy to fight next time out as kind of a retirement tour. But if he knocks this guy out, you never know what happens. But I believe Rodrigo is gonna beat him pretty handily here.
The Brazilians are on quite a little bit of a tear now overall in the UFC. All right, Mr. Parlay Pounder.
Yeah,
you got that parlay?
I do.
Let's do it.
I have already spelled out these 2 plays just in these 2 fights, but Joaquin Buckley to win by KO, TKO, or DQ is at a plus 140. I'm going to pair that with Rodrigo Nascimento to win by KO, TKO, DQ, or decision to pass the victory on that, plus 275. You put those together for a plus 800 parlay, putting 25 on that to win 225, Andy.
I love that.
Not a lot of money for a good payout there. 2 things that are likely to happen on Saturday night.
I would say when you're talking UFC, that's 2 very likely things to happen.
Yep.
It's just, I hate betting against Derek
hate going
Lewis.
against the Black Beast as well.
That's the way it goes. You got to make that bet every now and then.
You got to make that bet. I did it last week, betting against Anthony Smith. It kind of caught me, but hopefully I can get back on the right track this week. So, Joaquin Buckley to win by KO, plus 140, paired with Rodrigo Nascimento to win by KO or decision, plus 275. Parlay those together, plus 825 to win 225.
Plus 800. You got me. You got me on the plus
awesome.
800.
I love it.
All righty. Well, that'll about do it for us this week, folks. Be sure to follow us on ESPN, Tri-City Radio, and their Facebook page. Twitter, please subscribe us. Find us on there, or X. I guess it's X now. X going to give it to you. And then if you haven't already, our YouTube channel, that's been growing. It's really fun interaction. Yeah. We're also going to have some more contributors on there.
Yeah.
Jake Bartecki.
Bartecki, baby.
Bringing the NASCAR. He picked the winner last week.
He knows how to do it.
He didn't get too flashy. He's just like, who's the favorite, Cal Larson? Yeah, give him to me.
Anytime that there's a NASCAR race, Andy, I'm reaching out to Jake for his pick. So it's going to be a lot of fun to make sure subscribe to our YouTube page. Get those NASCAR picks every week from him. It's going to be a lot of fun.
There we go. We'll be breaking those down on those YouTube shorts, less than a minute. And then speaking of short form content, you got the TikTok, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Follow us at WTL Sports Betting on TikTok. We put out videos, like you said, before main events, fighting, basketball, whatever you want to see. Check us out on TikTok as well.
For Jabron, the Parlay Pounder, I'm Andy Klassen. Thank you for listening. This has been WTL.